We will proceed in a leisurely manner so we can reflect and relish some of the verses of Shantideva, the great Shantideva, and also reflect and recite some praises to Tara. And perhaps at the end also recall what it actually means to call the Guru, to pray for the return of the teacher, of the spiritual teacher. Okay, so please be comfortable. Upright is good, not too kind of casual and relaxed. Feet should not be up on the table in front of you in that very relaxed manner that apparently even American presidents have adopted in the Oval Office. Not exactly, it doesn't fit well with the Eastern attitude of being relaxed and respectful. So we can be dignified, upright, without being stuffy or snooty, you know, or sort of arrogant about it. But just a good posture, good head and shoulders, as Trungpa would say. So bring the attention to the body on the cushion. Or chair. And rejoice in wherever you are. You may be, maybe winter approaching in Australia, windy, wet weather in Delhi. Whatever it is we're experiencing, we should be grateful that we're human beings with that level of awareness, that we can appreciate what we have and not waste it, recognizing its preciousness, its ephemeral quality is not going to last. And whether you're in an urban landscape or a rural landscape, doesn't matter. Lately, I've been listening to some of my favorite, Bob Dylan songs. And one of them is just called Watching the River Flow. And in that, he's saying, wish I was back in the city instead of this bank of sand. He's obviously somewhere out in a rural place or maybe desert landscape or something. And he's wishing he was back in the city because that's where the people he loves are. But he says, meanwhile, I'll just sit here contentedly and watch the river flow wherever he is. So we can do that. We can watch life passing. Sometimes we may not have beauty or what we consider beauty outside our window or balcony. If we do, that's wonderful, of course. But if not, life is flowing past. People are there, animals, birds are going to be there unless you're in a post-apocalyptic landscape. So there's always something to remind us of the immediacy of living situation, which is what we have here within this so-called body and mind, this person, what we call a person. And one wonders what one would think about this person. This is a thought experiment. What would one think about this person if we had been born blind? What would be our image of a person, of a body? There would be feelings, obviously, and touch, and we could have, had our hands all over the contour of all of our body, but what image would there be, I wonder, of a person, which would be different from the image you and I have, who have sight and presumably sound and all the other senses operating. But what is a person, you see? That's a very interesting question. So as we sit with our so-called person in this body, touching cushion, pillow, floor, whatever, feet in whatever position they are, just feeling that sensation. Is there just a sensation or also an image arising? A mental image of a body part, whatever? Or can we just be with sensation as sensation? And also not judge that sensation in any way. Simply, as the Buddha said, in the seeing, let there be just the seeing. In the sensing, let there just be the sensing. Can we be with that? Contentedly, watching that river of sensations and so forth flow. Feel gratitude for the breath that keeps us going, has kept us going since, well, the breath outside of the womb since we were born, and I guess there's some kind of breath while we're inside the womb that's kept us going all these years, despite hiccups and times when we might even have thought that we were leaving this body. But the breath has been with us, so let us respectfully become aware of it. A few deep breaths, breathing out, letting go with the out breath. Deep sense of letting go with the out breath. In a state of what one Lama has beautifully called carefree dignity. Carefree dignity. Not careless, carefree. Not carefree, trendy, or carefree, loose. Carefree dignity. So still, relaxed, not uptight, and aware, awake, sensitive to what's happening. And cares and sensations, feelings, memories come and go. Let them come and go. And they're all like old friends and coming to wave at us and say goodbye. We don't need to get caught up in it. Whether it's slightly, mildly, or largely happy or so-called unhappy, just we bid them hello and then goodbye. Let them go. Let them dissolve with the out-breath. And we remember all the kind mother sentient beings as well who don't have this opportunity to touch themselves, touch home base, touch that center of calm, clear clarity and kindness. Who don't have an inkling of the Buddha nature. of which it has been said that Buddha nature, not in a glimpse, it's not a glimpse in the sense of viewing something. It's a gap rather than a glimpse. A gap, which is the experience that comes out of seeing through the veils of the tight grasping at the self. But whether we have a glimpse of it or not, the Buddha mind, it's functioning in us all of the time. All of the time. The Buddha nature is there. Like a friend that never, never, ever leaves us. The best friend. And it can occur in the most bizarre, cheap, and confused styles that we might present, as well as in whatever extremely profound, dignified, and wise experiences we might have. All of these are in some way expressions of the Buddha nature. So we feel sadness for those beings who just are not able to digest and accept what they're going through. For them, what they're going through is suffering. With the added emotional, you could say, the extra suffering of feeling unsatisfactoriness as deeply unsatisfactory and suffering. Not being able to let go. Miserable, miserable. So remember those beings, and so though we're practicing for them as well, so we can be a balm, a light, a guide, a refuge for them. And we request all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout space to bathe us in the water of their compassion, so that we may be useful for others and stop creating confusion and misery for others, as well as for ourselves. So, out of respect for our breath, for the Buddha nature, and out of our deep wish, heartfelt wish to be of great benefit to others as well as to ourselves, let us create a stable foundation by silently being aware, primarily maybe of breath, as it enters and leaves the body through the nostrils. And as you feel that breath in the body, so let us create a little oasis within us of quiet, stillness that is recognized and revered in all of the spiritual traditions, especially by the saints and the yogis, brave men and women who practiced often in solitude. Let's pay our respects to that inner refuge, inner oasis, and keep silence for the next 6-7 minutes. Being aware of breath, not getting caught up, but letting go gently of the thoughts and resting in tranquil, deeper part of ourselves. If you need to stretch, stand briefly, please do so. Okay, thank you. So now I thought we would, again, at a slow pace, with no hurry, take a few verses from Shantideva. Many of these verses, all these verses will be familiar to some of you who've been looking at this text and regarding it as a kind of companion over the last many years, some of you for decades, no doubt. A text that one can come back to again and again and again for inspiration, for tremendous nourishment, encouragement, all of those. And which, of course, no less than His Holiness the Dalai Lama has called a text upon which he bases any experience of real compassion. He bases, is founded, he said, on his study and meditations on this text by Shantideva, the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar, guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, or more precisely, I think, entering into the deeds of a Bodhisattva, written around the 8th century in Buddhist, so-called Buddhist Sanskrit, and now translated into many translations in English. And of course, there are translations, many translations into, translation into Tibetan, and I presume Chinese, but the Tibetan is the one that we work with most, because that's the tradition that has kept it alive so powerfully, and in which we had the lineage of Kunu Lama Rinpoche, a very great Lama practitioner, lay practitioner from Kinor, who kept this tradition alive, not only scripturally, but in terms of having realized the subject matter of the text in his own mind, the precious Bodhicitta, or aspiration to enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, and the actual engagement in the activities of a bodhisattva. So Kunu Lama Rinpoche, the person who also gave instructions and commentary on that text to no less than His Holiness the Dalai Lama, most famously at the on the first floor of the main temple, the Mahabodhi temple in Bodh Gaya, the upstairs room, which now sadly there's not much access. There used to be more access to that upper chamber in the main temple. So let's take some verses from this great text and reflect on them. I won't comment much on them, maybe a little bit. They are, for beginners, of course, you might need some more commentary. So for that, of course, there are many guidebooks, including a book by a modern nun called Becoming Bodhisattvas by Pema Chodron. And of course, many commentaries they're available in different formats from His Holiness the Dalai Lama and other great lamas, and our own teachers, of course. And it's quoted extensively, for example, in Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, in the section on the practitioner of great capacity, the Mahayana practitioner. So there are many places where you can find commentary on this magnificent work. So let's start with a few verses from the first chapter, the chapter on the benefits of the awakening mind of Bodhicitta, awakening heart, the mind that has seen through the illusion, the spectacle of samsara, has experienced great sadness, that samsara, the suffering it entails, and that has developed renunciation for oneself and great sadness regarding contemplating the suffering of others, and which sees that the only way to really benefit oneself and others is to let go of the arrogance of self-grasping ignorance and the sticky, swampy-like nature of the habitual patterns based on delusion and karma, and to generate this aspiration towards enlightenment, seeing that is the only way to effectively benefit oneself and others. Oneself, because that's the main highway to omniscience, of Buddhahood, and of course it's the main way to be able to benefit others, because Buddhahood is the greatest method. Buddhahood is the state in which we can benefit others in the most sublime way, most effective way. So he gives us a sense of the problem as well as the solution in verse number 6. Some of you may have the text there, but it doesn't matter if you don't have it. I'll read the verse slowly and then briefly comment possibly, and then we can reflect on it for a few minutes. Based on what? Based on our own experience, based on whatever you may remember or whatever from commentaries you may have heard or read. Verse number 6. Hence, virtue is perpetually feeble, and the great strength of immorality being extremely intense. And except for a fully awakening mind, how else, by what other virtue will it be overcome? Just to give you another translation, to give you another nuance to the meaning, verse number 6 of the first chapter. Thus behold the utter frailty of goodness. Except for perfect bodhicitta, there is nothing able to withstand the great and overwhelming strength of evil. Of course, evil is a word we don't, in a sense, use a lot, but it refers to, immorality, non-virtue, the actions that are performed out of, habitual patterns based on delusion. So those actions being very, very habitual and strong, they can only be overcome like by a very powerful state of mind, just as a whole bunch of hooligans or badmashes, bandits can only be overcome by a very strong, brave, courageous, powerful chieftain or, goody hero. So bodhicitta, this mind of full awakening, it is like that. So spend some time reflecting on what may be some of our powerful delusions which overcome us sometimes, and what really could overcome them. Could it be the external guru who comes and goes, is with us and then passes away? Is it a bunch of vows alone that can help us, or something external? What can help us? A little bit of goodness, a little bit of charity now and again. What will actually help us to overcome the great strength, as he puts it, of the immorality? What will overcome it? Could it be that this precious mind of awakening could do that? The aspiration to become a Buddha for the sake of others, seeing others' suffering as unbearable, and seeing how limited we are right now, even to help ourselves. how we flounder and grasp for something in order to help our best friends. Sometimes we just don't know what to do to help them. Not just, we're not talking emotionally or spiritually, but just physically, we often don't know how to help someone who is sick or ill. We have no idea. We have to check with some doctor who may not know. We check the internet. We have a bit of received knowledge, which may be very limited. We don't know how to help others sufficiently. So, aspiration to Buddhahood, that could be something extraordinary, which can lead to ultimate goodness, which is then beneficial, supremely beneficial for all. One feels like reflecting on every verse sometimes, but we'll skip to verse 10 of chapter 1, where Shantideva speaks of the kind of almost magical, alchemical quality of Bodhicitta, the transformative quality, what it does for us. It is like the supreme gold-making elixir, for it transforms the unclean body we've taken into the priceless jewel of a Buddha form. Therefore, firmly seize this awakening mind. The other translation says, for, like the supreme substance of the alchemists, it takes the impure form of human flesh and makes of it the priceless body of a Buddha. Such is Bodhicitta. We should grasp it firmly. So wouldn't we be happy with a medicine that transformed our aching knee joints into something flexible and light, and not something that we have to worry about every time we go up and down steps or bend? Wouldn't we be grateful to a person who created a medicine or a balm that helped us with that? So what need to speak of Bodhicitta, which transforms this whole suffering magnet of suffering, this body-mind, the unclean, the impure, tainted body-mind we now have, that on the physical level attracts so many kinds of diseases and pains and aches, and on the mental level attracts so many deluded qualities, and thoughts, and so forth, disturbing emotions. Wouldn't it be wonderful to transform that into the body and mind of a Buddha? Wouldn't that be extraordinary? This is what Bodhicitta is able to accomplish for us. Totally transforms what we are. Or you could say the temporary bubble of mistakes, superficial mistakes that we have become. Doesn't need to transform the Buddha nature that is always there, that is always pure, always untainted. So you could say it helps transform or helps us let go of the garbage and to taste the essential pure nature, the Buddha nature. This, those of you who remember the Vimalakirti Nirdesh Sutra, Vimalakirti pretends to be sick precisely for this kind of purpose. So he knows everyone will come, and then what does he do when everyone comes to visit him? He gives them a lecture. What is the lecture about? It's about the unclean body we have, how limited it is, and how we should all aspire to the body of a Buddha. That's the import of Vimalakirti's speech, according to the Vimalakirti Nirdesh Sutra. And so it is said after he gave that wonderful teaching, so many beings attained a very high level of consciousness, including attaining the precious mind of Bodhicitta. The ripened beings who were ready for it, they were transformed by that speech of Vimalakirti, pretending to be sick as part of his skillful liberative technique. And we can, as we reflect on these, we can also rejoice. That would make it very powerful. To rejoice in Shantideva, his Bodhicitta, his eloquence, his showing us clearly the benefits of Bodhicitta. How wonderful it is. How wonderful that this could be possible. So life in this suffering body is not a dead end. It's not darkness at the end of the tunnel. It's much light. It's possible. No reason to despair. Like a body which may be groaning with overweight and aches and pains and blah, 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 and a mind full of, hopes and fears and so forth. It doesn't matter. We begin to inject ourselves with Bodhicitta, all will be transformed. How wonderful it is. Think how wonderful it is. Then Shantideva exhorts us to engage in not only the aspiring, but the engaging mind of bodhicitta, which means not just wishing to become a Buddha, but actually taking the first steps in that direction to practice the perfections and so forth. It reminds us of the uninterrupted flow of positive energy that will ensue once we have even created the aspirational mind of bodhicitta. Then he says in verse 21, showing us how remarkable that state of mind is, he says, if even the thought to relieve living creatures of merely a headache is considered a beneficial intention endowed with infinite goodness, then what need is there to mention the wish to dispel their inconceivable misery, wishing every single one of them to realize boundless good qualities. So someone's had a headache for an hour or two, or a day or two, or they even have, migraine their whole life. So you wish to rid them of that. Fantastic. But bodhicitta, seeing the infinite variety of rebirths we've taken, the beginningless suffering we have gone through, wishes to relieve beings of that whole massive ocean-like suffering of all beings. That is bodhicitta. It is incomparable. And not only to rid them of suffering, but for beings to develop the inconceivably good qualities, boundless good qualities of a Buddha. That is what bodhicitta is wanting for others. So, what need to mention the incredible goodness of such a mind, of such a wish? He says, do even fathers and mothers have such a benevolent intention? Of course they don't. They may be wonderfully kind, but their vision is limited. And it doesn't go beyond usually the family, close family, and a few friends. So mothers and fathers don't have it. Do the gods and sages have it? No, they're immersed in their bliss or their meditative equipoise, or their, in the case of the demigods, in their jealous, envious bickerings and competitiveness. Does even Brahma have it? Shantideva asks. So reflect on this. This inconceivable mind, in the sense of what it is wishing for, what it is striving for the sake of others. How wonderful it is, how wonderful it is. Those of you who have gurus or had the memory, the experience with Lama Zopa Rinpoche, his incredible teachings on bodhicitta and his exemplification of the lifestyle of a bodhisattva, please remember that and rejoice. How wonderful it is. How wonderful it is. The bodhicitta mind of the guru is not only concerned with making sure the disciple has new, fresh socks when their old socks have holes in them, but gives teachings which help us life to life, which gives tantric teachings, who gives the explanations, initiations. It's concerned with our long term, concerned to help us get enlightened. That is extraordinary state of mind that brings about that kind of activity. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable when one is caught up in a self-centered attitude. But we can have glimpses of it when we reach out of our cocoon, out of our stinking self-concern, over self-concern. I mean, we must take care of ourselves. Don't misunderstand. But sometimes it goes too far, doesn't it? And we neglect others. Often others who've been very, very kind to us. Supremely kind. So Shantideva asks in verse 30, 29, 30, for those who are deprived of happiness and burdened with many sorrows, Bodhicitta satisfies them with all joys, dispels all suffering, and clears away confusion. Where is there a comparable virtue? Where is there even such a friend? Where is there merit similar to this? If whoever repays a kind deed is worthy of some praise, what need to mention the bodhisattvas who do good without it being asked of them? The world honors as virtuous someone who sometimes gives a little plain food disrespectfully to a few beings, which satisfies them for only half a day. What need to be said then of one who eternally bestows the bliss, the peerless bliss of the Sugatas upon limitless numbers of beings, thereby fulfilling all their hopes. And then in the last verse of the first chapter, Shantideva says, I bow down to the body of those in whom the sacred, precious mind is born. I seek refuge in that source of joy, who brings happiness, even to those who bring harm. So that's really wonderful, isn't it? You're not being asked, and even beings who harm you, you are in return benefiting them. What a supremely wonderful, amazing mind. Extraordinary mind. So let's rejoice a little bit, and then we'll do some Tara praises, and then have some discussion, perhaps. Think how wonderful it is. This first chapter on the benefits of bodhicitta. How wonderful. I must research this mind at least, even if I have no idea what it is yet. I must research it, check what it is. And if I already know about it, I must practice it. If I'm already practicing it, then I must practice better. I must generate this mind. This is the best offering to sentient beings, to my teachers, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and to myself. Okay, so take a few minutes break, and then I'll just make sure we all have the Tara praises. I think they may have been there recently on the group. And a brief reminder while I'm searching that Venerable Tenzin Priyadarshi is speaking on Bodhicitta on the 6th of May, developing Bodhicitta, Saturday, 6th of May, 6:30 p.m. at Tushita, newly fumigated and fresh. Yeah, thank you, Nilashiji, for sending that. So I'm just sending the praises to everybody on the Mahayana Meditation Center announcement group. Short practice of Green Tara, which has the praises. So Tara, as we know, some of us, it's born from the tears of Avalokiteshvara, suggesting very powerful, effective engagement, you see, with others, not just aspiration, but engaging with others, helping others, actively engaging with benefiting others. That's why her right foot is said to be extended in the iconography. The right foot is not in the meditation posture. The left foot is. Right foot is extended, meaning she's ready to swiftly jump into action to benefit others. And in terms of the energetic aspect of the archetype Tara, the Buddha Tara, she's connected with the wind element. So wind, of course, is the fastest element, faster than earth, water, fire. So she's connected with the wind element, suggesting that her practice brings quick results, a quick sort of effect of the prayers and the practice. Not for any magical reason, but because the practice is aimed at working with that aspect of that element that we all have in us, the air element. You can't say any of us lacks the air element. So if we have the air element, we can benefit from Tara. If we didn't have the air element, then we'd need some other kind of Buddha energy. But we all have the air element, so we're very fortunate. And she protects from fear, all kinds of fear. And remember, there's the fear of not being able to engage with activities, the fear that makes us engage in displacement, distracted activities, and the fear that makes us feel that I'm not good enough. You can link those fears with the three kinds of laziness, can't we? The laziness of procrastination, laziness of engaging in a whole bunch of distracting worldly activities, and the sort of laziness of self-contempt, of putting oneself down, of, you could say, despair. That's also kind of laziness, because it's totally disregarding the fact that we have all that it takes to wake up and benefit others. We have it. But due to habitual patterns of certain kind of behavior and karmic obscuration, clouds, then we don't notice the sun-like nature we all have. Something like that. So this Tara practice helps us wake up out of these three lazinesses, because she is, in a sense, the embodiment, as are all Buddhas, of course, the opposite of laziness. Total, constant activity, spontaneous at their level, of course, effortless activity for the sake of beings. So wouldn't that be wonderful to have that kind of state of mind, and not to miss Sunday mornings with our feet up, reading the newspaper and slurping coffee? I mean, we wouldn't need to do that. We would be so happy just engaging in what was benefiting others. And if it meant we had to do that, slurping coffee with someone, of course, Bodhisattva can do that too. But it would be a very meaningful slurp. Yeah. Anyway, so let's remember Green Tara. In this case, she embodies all of the Taras. Very beautifully attired, in the nature of light, either on the crown of our heads or in front of us in space, on a lotus, beautiful lotus flower. The embodiment of Guru and Buddha, oneness with Tara, if you have a Guru, otherwise just Tara. Right foot extended, right hand, right knee, and the gesture of giving sublime realizations, left hand at our heart, holding the stem of an Utpala flower in the mudra of the three jewels, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. With her head tilted slightly to the right, which means she's embodies, of course, has wisdom, but is embodying the active element of compassion. Left symbolizing more wisdom, right is more the compassionate activity, compassion, the method side, so-called. So she's embodying that. She's very beautiful, very in the nature of light. She's gazing at us with very beautiful, calm, compassionate eyes, like the most wonderful of mothers. And she is regarded in that sense as the mother of all the Buddhas. Her ultimate nature is the Dharmakaya. She arises from the ultimate Guru, which is, thank goodness, in all of us, the Buddha nature in all of us. So we all have the ultimate Guru nature out of which Tara arises. So we mustn't dualistically see Tara as something totally separate from us. It's wrong. We have never, in one sense, been separate from the mind, the holy mind of Aryatara. But we need the reminder. This is our nature. So I will, as I always do, recite the Tibetan through 3 times. You can meditate, you can look at the words, the meaning of the praises. You can imagine, if you want, each time a verse is recited at your own speed, that the Tara is absorbed into you, and strengthens you, empowers you. There can be light and nectar coming, purifying all your disturbances, anything that you find wrong, all the negative karma and everything, mental and physical sickness. And that would be with white light. And then if it's bestowing realizations, then a warm golden light entering you, bringing you all the realizations of the path to enlightenment, from Guru devotion up to enlightenment, and being that way for all beings as well. Mother, father, friends, relations are surrounding you, and all the other beings who are suffering intensely without a guide, without refuge, bereft, very sad, very lonely, etc. So Tara's blessings in the form of light and nectar reaching all of them, granting freedom from fear and all success. Especially people you know who are sick or ill or lonely or whatever, who just died. Remember them. And also feel that Aryatara is bringing us the ability to engage in whatever makes the Guru most happy and encourages the appropriate, wonderful, most beneficial swift return, reincarnation of our precious Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, in a form that will be very most beneficial for others, and be able to continue the work that he started in this life, in his last life, especially the Maitreya projects, and Rinpoche's wish to have many, 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 many holy objects around the world, like the Guru Rinpoche statues and so forth, Padmasambhava, Maitreya, and especially the education, schools, so forth. Schools in every village, as he put it, he wanted. Once, while teaching in Bodh Gaya in the middle of a Guru Puja, I want schools in every village. So may Rinpoche's wishes be fulfilled with the help of compassionate Mother Tara. Okay, the invocation and the prostration, and then I will repeat the prostration verse in Tibetan a few times and then go through the praises 3 times in Tibetan. You please meditate, reflect, whatever is good for you. from the supreme abode of the Potala, one born out of the green letter Tam, crown decorated with Amitabha Buddha, mother of the skillful actions of all the three-time Buddhas. Tara, please come with your entourage. Worldly gods, non-worldly gods, bow their crowns to your lotus feet. You who rescue from all problems, Mother Tara, to you I prostrate. Lada Lamin Jatengi, Shaki Pemola Tone, Pombakone de Zaman, the Mayum Lajazel. Lada Lamin Jatengi, Shaki Pemola Tone, Pombakone de Zaman, the Mayum Lajazel. Lada Lamin Jatengi, Shaki Pemola Tone, Pombakone de Zaman, the Mayum Lajazel. Jetso ma pa ma do ma la cha se lo jo de do ma nyu ma pa ma chen ni ge che lo dan da ma ji den de ge sa de wa le ni jo ma ja de de da wa kun to ga ma ya ni se pe ja ma ka ma do ba zo pa nam ki ra pe te we ra ba ra ma je ne ke pe me cha ni na pra ke ma Nima zodo gado ji wa zo pa sam ten je yo nya ma ja ze de jin je be zo to ta ye num ra ge wa che ma lo ba ro ji ba do be ge wa ze ki je do ten ma ja ze to ta ra hong yi ge do dan jo dan lang ka ga ma te den de ge ja ki nen te lo ba me ba ge ba ne ma ja ze ja je me la sam ba lo na na zo wa je che ma yo ma ro la le da nam da no jin de ki de ne te ma cha de pe ki paro to kurab do jama ye kan yin jaki nente me pa to prachen to barama cha de to re ji pa chen bo du ki pa on bra jama che ge de ne den de da wa dan je ma le de ma ja de ke ne de dan ja ge so mo to kra nam pa ge ma lo cha ki ko lo ge be rang gi ki sa nam pe ma ja de ne ge be Yogi nagi te wa pel ma jebe rap che tutta rai do da je te wan do te ma cha de da ye zo da nu ve da ni ma to ni je we yi ge on ge pam ba tam che nam ra do ma cha de da ve de me ge ba tam che chen tu ba ra ma re pe ta na apa me le ta bra chen du rap de ma cha de ka me ta me ta Bhave Dungi Nane Ma Yikini Kikini Kuki Dai Puni Namrajama Chade Jade Dana Chake Teki Teki Daki Doma Tone Jende Ige Wanki Ripato Pona Nike Ma Chade Dema Kema Jima Nyani Deche Jayani Ma Soho Yodo Dempe Dipa Jimba Jumba Nyama Chade Kuni Karagawi Dai Lani Nambragama Yike jove nani ke peri pa hole do manya ma jose tore zani tape hobe no be zo banye ma re da mendere dan bije jide do yo anyama shade la iso inam pere da ta che jana nama tarani jo pe ki ge de na mali pani selma jose tore la je la iso ina la je la iso na gyabo la mi achi etema Kune Gojagawa Jiki, Sura Melonium Baselma, Jazenima Dawa Giape, Cheni Polar Selma, Harani Jototarai, Shinto da Borem Selma, Chale Denis and Mkipe, Jive de Doyon Dema, Tolorolo de Dono, Yamada Yanema, Savena Kita Padina, Shazewan in Sosaja. By the way, verse 20 is specific for epidemic diseases and so forth. Muhammad, she whose eyes are bright with radiance of sun or full moon, with twice hara and tutare, drive her out of chronic fever. So this is specific for that. So we could do that because so much fear and so forth surrounding COVID and so forth. Okay, now back to the phrases, twice more. Om jet som pa ma de ma la ja ze lo ja de de ma ni ma pa ma je ni ke je lo da ma je ke sa de wa le ni jo ma cha de da wa kon to ka wa ya ni se pe cha ma Kama Zopa Zopa Nam Ki Ratu Chewe Rabarama Chase Jini Tini Ki Permechani Nambara Gyama Ma Jimba Zuto Katu Jiwa Zopa Tamten Choyonye Ma Chase Dejin Chepe Soto Taye Nambara Gewa Chuma Maluparo Chipatope Gyawan Jingin Nunema Ye Gena Jona Naga Ma Jiten Doga Jaginende Leba Me Bagu Banema Chadeke Namela Samba, Lola Nazo Wanja Chama, Jumborola Dizananda, Dajaki Doneta, Ma Chadeta Tata Beki, Para the good of the Joma, Yakan Pameka Gigane. Chadure Jipachembo, the Kipawan of Rajoma, Chukijade, the Dawadam Jumaluzama. Chadajagi, the Motokranam Bagiama, Molichuki Kologam, Vedangi Kizanandema. Chadera de Gawaji, Payukinaki Dema Pelma, Jepera Jitodara, Yidoda de Wandodema. Chadedali Gawizona, Danjiki Penimani, Matani Gawingi, Bambadam Jenumradama. Chade David Miki, Gimbadam Jindo Bama, Rebecca Pamele, Tabrajindo Radama. Chade Gamida Mimeda, Baby, Naniama, Yakin, Dai Ponin Rajama. Chade Jare Jala Jage, Dagina Jagidama, Jane Jane Yigeongi, Repadona Naigema. Chade de Magemachi, Manyan, Senyanima, Sohoyo Dada Dembe, de Bajamajamanyema. Chade Ganegaragavi, Dailunin Bregiama, Yiki Jabenanike, Piring Vale Domaniama. Chade de Danida Be, Hungela Bezabanyema, Ilamandara Dambe, Jede Yohanyema. Chagalai say nam pere ata de chana nama tarani jo pegi ge de na mali pani salma. Chagalai sonam gya pa ladami achi tema kuni ka jagawaji ke sonam milanya bazalma. Chazanya ge pi chini pala salma harani jo to tarayi jindu da purim na salma. Chaze deni zanam ke pe jive to dayan dan ma dolaro la nyone zana nyampa dore rajani ma savena kita padi da chaze wani ne so sa Yetsoma Pamadoma La Chase Lo Jose Domanya Pamo Jenny Kejela Dama Jini Kiji Keda Jewelini Joma Jose Doveda Wakonto Kawageni Zebechalma Kamazoba Zoba Namgi Rapte Chewe Ora Barama Chase Jene Jene Keki Pame Janino Bregema Jimba Zoto Kataji Soba Zonde Nyoyo Nyema Chase Desinje Besoto Tayen Bregewa Choma Malu Parachi Patope Kyabje Kitento Tema, Chate Totarangi, Todo Yodo Gagama, Jitendo Gajaginete, Mevando Pratinto Para. Ma Jase Gajamela Zamba, Luna Jazo Wanjo Jama, Jamborola de Zanam, Danya Jigedetama, Chate Dodo Beki, Baroto Karab Jama, Yekanyake Jaginente, Mepato Pratinto Barama. Chade Dure Bajembo, Doki Bawon Brajama, Jakidane Dende, Dawotam Jumaluzema. Chade Gane de Gizumo, Granum Bagema, Malutuki Kologembe, Rangi Yoki Zanamdema. Chazero Gavaji, Pe Yogine Kita Pelma, Chevera Chito Tarayi, Dodanje de Wandodema. Chaze Jave Zorezo, no Jigumani Manima, Tony Wangi, Pampatam Janam Bradama, Chaze de Mergen, Madanje Jendo Barama, Repetana Pamele, Taprajendo Arabdama, Chaze Gameda Memeta, Baviti Unanema, you can Nikoge, Daipuni Brajama, Chaze Janila Chage. Taking a Vigiduma, Donajandige, Hongi, Repatono Nanigama, Chaze Dema Gemaje. Yanindi ma soho yodo dembe di pacem bonyomani ma. Chase kone garagawi dailu inobrake ma ike chopenani kepe onga. Ripaole domani ama. Chase dore doni do pe dole uzo bene ma. Riramandara dambe je jitano yoni ma. Chase lai soi nambi rina tate chana nama. Tare nijo peki ge dona malipani selma. Chadelai solam gya pa ladami achete ma kunika jakawaji ki solam milanya bazalma. Chadedina deninge pi jeni pala rapsalma haranyi jototara yi chinduda porene zalma. Chadedina zanamki pi jividu don yodon dema dodorole dodi sonam jabadore rabjanye ama. Savina kita padida chal se wanini so sayi. Then there is the holy, very special verse that Atisha, the great Atisha, received from Aryatara at some point. The Aryatara spoke to Atisha. He had visions of her. She spoke to him through statues, for example, at Bodh Gaya. The Tara statues at Bodh Gaya spoke to Atisha. This is something not unusual in the Mahayana. The Sambhogaka aspect of the Buddha energy can manifest in many ways. And this was one way. So there's this abbreviated version on page 24 of your text online, received directly from Aryatara by the great teacher Jo Atisha, with a swift collection of meritorious energy. So when you're in a hurry, you see, after your quick coffee and croissant breakfast or whatever you eat, before you rush to your car or the metro, you can recite this verse and have it online. Oh, I prostrate to the goddess, foe destroyer, liberating Lady Tara. Homage to Tara, savioress, heroine, with Tutare dispelling all fears, granting all benefits with Ture. To her with the sound Swaha, I bow. We can recite the mantra a little time out loud and then silently, and then we'll have some discussion. Om Tare, Tutare Ture Soha. 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 Om Tare, Atutare Ture Soha. Tare tu tare ture som, 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 tare tu tare ture som. Tare tu tare ture som, tare. Tare tu tare ture som. Tare tu tare. Om tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare. Tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare. Tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare. Tare tu tare ture som, tare tu tare. Tare to tare to resom, 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 tare to tare to resom. Tare to tare to resom, 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 tare to tare to resom. Tare to tare to resom. Umatare totare polizon, tare totare. Umatare totare polizon. Umatare totare. Umatare totare. Umatare totare ture so Yanju Sanju. Rinpoche Make Panam Tikanje, Kyapanam Nepam, Bonge Bonge. Sure. So through this practice, may we quickly become Arya Tara, lead all sentient beings into her holy realm due to his merits. We will dedicate at the end as well, of course, but let's have, if you wish, some discussion. Especially anybody have any memories or any anecdotes from that time with any of the lamas, including Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche? Anything like that, please. Anything not clear, please ask. Thank you all for still being here. If there's nothing, we can dedicate. And just trying to find the quick return prayer, swift return prayer. But remembering that however swiftly the Lama comes back, if we don't practice what the Lama teaches, then maybe, not doing justice to the incarnation. So we can recite Kadrola's, His Holiness's, for auspiciousness also. I'm sending this to the group now. the swift return prayers. Yeah. So within that swift return prayer, the first one on page 5, His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote this at very short notice. It's dated the 14th of April, so just one day really after Rinpoche passed. Peerless teacher and assembly of children of the victorious ones, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, Tsongkhapa, father and sons, together with your lineage, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please now bestow the virtue and goodness to accomplish this prayer. In holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience, Zopa, that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. Sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, while striving exclusively for the welfare of the victorious one's teachings and mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. At this I lost hope. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of the mind generation of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a new reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then the prayer written by Hadrola on her way to Nepal from India on the plane, when she was going to Nepal to organize prayers and the embalming process. So she wrote this on the plane. Guru, think of me. Guru, consider me. Guru, gracious Guru, care for me. Root Guru, most gracious and kind, do not deprive us of your compassionate refuge. Listen and consider this heartfelt prayer made by a tormented disciple. Guru, you embody the blessings of the Buddhas of the three times. You may rest in great bliss, equipoised within the dhatu of unimpeded luminosity, yet the playful dance of your loving compassion can emanate in myriad ways. The swift appearance of your magical wisdom, the Rupakaya. The time has come for you to care for us once again with your affectionate compassion. I invoke you, I call upon you, I implore you on behalf of all beings. Arise, arise, awake from the Dharmakaya. Do not rest in Keshara or other pure celestial realms. Rather, to benefit the Buddha's teachings and all living beings, swiftly return to this southern continent to spread the Buddha Dharma of study and realization. Quickly return to guide us, poor, wretched beings. Such is the desperate cry of us, your disciples. Return so that we may actually behold your presence and receive the blessings of your enlightened body, speech, and mind. All violations, errors, mistakes, and broken vows that we have made in relation to your spontaneously present awakened body, speech, and mind and activity, through our being baffled, confused, and conceiving things in erroneous ways, we confess within the luminous emptiness of your three kayas. Of everything auspicious, the supreme auspiciousness, may there be the auspiciousness of emptiness and compassion conjoined, and the auspiciousness of a timely meeting between master and disciples. Through the force of the truth of unchanging suchness, may the unmistaken incarnation return quickly. This lament was made by me, a Dakini with pure faith and Samaya, her eyes filled with tears of sorrow. May these wishes of a beggar woman be fulfilled through the blessings of the deities of the three roots. Perception, its object, and the act of perceiving all dissolve within the expanse, the blissful clarity of suchness. Ah. So please dedicate for all of us to generate the sublime mind of Bodhicitta, conjoined with emptiness, so that we may be of supreme benefit to beings and not waste our lives and harm ourselves and others, as we've been doing since beginning this time. May we fulfill the wishes of the Guru in all kinds of ways, through service, through practice, and whatever else the Guru may command. May we always have the kind-hearted attitude towards sentient beings, and not only kind-hearted, but engaging in whatever action, peaceful or wrathful, is necessary to help others. May all the centers, especially Tushita Delhi, the Maitreya project, all the centers in India, be most beneficial for sentient beings. May all their activities grow, prosper. May there be a great wave of students, Buddha Dharma from India, studying, practicing, meditating, ordaining, and spreading the precious Dharma, once again in the land of its birth, just as Lama Thubten Yeshe, our kind founder, and Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche wish. May His Holiness Dalai Lama have long, stable, peaceful life, and all His holy wishes to be fulfilled. All the people who are helping the organization now, after the departure of Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, may all their work succeed, so that beings are benefited in the most wonderful way. We pray for the swift return of Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and that we are able much better to fulfill his holy wishes in terms of making offerings, service, and the most sublime offering, the offering of practice of the teachings. Thanks to all of you for lasting for an hour and 3/4. Most kind of you. Have a very good rest of the day, wherever you are. And may see some of you tomorrow afternoon. The session will be held again from Tushita, most 99% likely from Tushita, and also online. Thank you all so much. Take care, and a very good day to you.